Welcome to this week in the world of wrestling.
Welcome to TWitWoW, the best wrestling podcast made for wrestling fans, by wrestling fans, on the web today. I'm John, that's my cohort in commentary Ashton, and this is our Friday night Smackdown review. And folks, what we're looking at here is the go-home Smackdown before Money in the Bank this Sunday. And I gotta say, I had a lot of fun with this show, had some great matches, some great build towards the two ladder matches that will take place at Money in the Bank this Sunday. Overall, a solid 2 hours of SmackDown, pushing the pay-per-view forward. But don't take my word for it. Let's send it over to Ashton. Ashton, what'd you think of it?
Yeah, man, SmackDown was really solid tonight, and literally the last thing that I said as SmackDown went off the air was, well, that was a heck of a go-home show, because they sold me on the pay-per-view even more than I already was.
Couldn't have said it better. So with that said, let us get right into our first segment, Heat of the Night. And I have 0 heats of the night tonight. What about you, Ashton?
Yeah, you know what, dude? Here's the thing. Not only do I not have any heats of the night, I don't even have any nitpicks tonight.
That just right there is all you need to know that this is a solid episode of SmackDown.
Yeah,
great stuff.
That's the thing. Like, normally when we have an episode of SmackDown with no heats of the night, a lot of the time it's because they just don't really do anything worth talking about. So they don't do anything horrible, but they don't do anything great either. There was some great stuff on this SmackDown.
Completely agree with you. So let us get into what that great stuff was as we formally begin our Friday night SmackDown review. And how do we open this show up, Ashton?
Do you really even need to ask anymore? The Authority.
You know what? I should have known. You know, if that was a Jeopardy question, I would have lost out on at least $500. Shame on me.
So Triple H comes out, Orton and Rollins in tow, when he starts talking about all the different eras and that he's heard that this is the reality era. I don't know why he said he's heard it when he's the one that dubbed it that, but he has a different name. He's going to call it the Authority era, because they've been in power and they've been winning, and this Sunday will be no different. He said that he's willing to call the men in the ring with him a great group, and that Orton will be WWE champion, and that Rollins will win the briefcase. And that is best for business.
Yes, Orton chimes in, and he pretty much echoes Hunter's sentiment, saying, it is best for business, and at Money in the Bank, he's going to climb the ladder, retrieve the championships, and also retrieve his place as the face of the WWE. Then Rollins steps forward, says he too will scale his ladder, grab the briefcase, forge his destiny, and guarantee himself an opportunity at the WWE World Heavyweight Championship anytime, any place for the next year, whenever he wants. So both guys seem very confident heading into their respective ladder matches, Ashton.
Absolutely. And you know what, dude? Actually, you know what? I was just getting ready to give something away about my preview predictions, but that's going to be tomorrow. So you guys are just going to have to wait 24 hours for that, because I was just this close to, and yeah, I'm holding my fingers up about an inch away from each other. I was about this close to giving something away. So I'm going to keep my mouth shut about that and just continue. Do you have anything else left to say regarding the opening promo with I almost said the Shield, with the Authority, Triple H, Rollins, and Orton?
Well, we should touch upon, even though it was only brief, the tension that arose between Rollins and Orton.
Yep. Well, I mean, that's the thing, dude. That's what happens when you put all your eggs in one basket. In this case, the eggs being Orton and Rollins, and the basket being the WWE Championship picture, because you have both of these guys basically trying to get to that pinnacle. Orton's going to be able to win it if he wins the match on Sunday, and Rollins is going to be able to win an opportunity to win it if he wins his match on Sunday. So, I mean, really, if you were the Authority, would you put your number one man in a WWE Championship match and your number two man in a number one contender match? Because that's basically what you're doing here, and it doesn't really make a lot of sense, does it?
Well, it certainly perplexes me. I don't know why you would create this dichotomy that has the potential to
It's
implode.
Almost like it was intentional.
And I was just getting ready to establish that same fact, Ashton. How hilarious would it be, and how big would Shield fans pop if they saw Seth Rollins cash in on Randy Orton, even if he maintained his heel character, just to say, you know what, Orton, this is a coup for your title as face of the WWE, and now I'm taking over. And Triple H backs that horse. Because let's be honest, in the context of this storyline, I feel like Seth Rollins is Triple H's pet project, like Orton was when he was first introduced to Evolution.
Yeah, I mean, Triple H even went as far as to say, this, pointing to Orton, is the present, and this, pointing to Rollins, is the future.
Exactly. You know, I remember the first promo that Evolution cut when they formally came together as a group, and Triple H said that Randy Orton was a lump of coal that we're going to mold and find the diamond. And I feel like that diamond has lost, well, at least in Triple H's eyes, a lot of its luster, a lot of its polish.
No, because you know what, though, dude? After Orton won the title at SummerSlam, when Triple H pedigreed Bryan, Triple H said, the coal has become the diamond.
That is true, but let's also remember as well, there was a lot of bickering amongst Orton and the Authority for that time, and only in the latter half of Orton's championship reign did they really become solidified as a unit. I think Triple H is looking at Rollins and everything he did with the Shield, and, you know, I mean, for God's sakes, his moniker was the Architect, and Triple H is looking at that and he's saying, you know what? This is where I need to cultivate my power. This is where I need to cultivate my talents, because this kid is an investment that I'm going to get back exponentially. And I think for Triple H, well, he still sees an investment in Orton. I don't think he's going to just write him off completely. I think he really is looking at Rollins as, yeah, this guy is going to be the torchbearer for my design. He's going to be my architect going forward.
Yeah, absolutely. So definitely a solid promo. Again, though, the important thing I want to stress here is that they're selling the pay-per-view, and they did a great job of it here, because this makes you want to see, and really beyond that, it makes you want to not only see who wins the titles, but it makes you want to see if Rollins does win, if he's going to cash in the same night.
I will say, when you look at all the years that the Money in the Bank pay-per-view has been in existence, and I probably say this every year, so I'm fully admitting that now, but this year definitely seems just wildly unpredictable in my eyes for both ladder matches.
I know for a fact that you did indeed say that last year.
Yeah, and see, there you go. So I already went on record. I fully recognize this. But, I mean, for me, really, I felt like last year the world title, because wasn't that the one with, like, the 5 guys in the Raw, just former world champions, Money in the Bank? Or was that the year before that? Because
I want to say, wasn't that the year before? No, you know what? It might have been. It might have been 2013, because Cena was the one that was going into SummerSlam with the title.
Okay. See, like, I felt like that one was maybe a bit more predictable. Here I feel like both ladder matches are easy to call. Well, not easy to call. I mean, just the opposite. Very complicated, very hard to call, very difficult. So you were mentioning previewing predictions earlier, how you almost let something slip out. To me, I wouldn't have anything slip out, because I still don't even have my thoughts together on who's even going to come out on top.
Actually, dude, no. You know what? 2013, John Cena defeated Mark Henry for the title. I mean, he had the title, but that was when Mark Henry did the fake retirement promo and Cena retained against him. But then Sandow and Orton both won their respective Money in the Bank contracts.
That's right. And see, like, I felt like Sandow was a bit of a jolt to me. Orton was an interesting case, because I'd say not so much on one hand, but on the other hand, I mean, Bryan was riding such an incredible wave of momentum at the time. But that's the thing. You can't always look towards momentum for Money in the Bank. But again, this is all stuff I should be saying for our preview predictions. My point being,
2012 was the WWE title contract match with Cena, Kane, Jericho, Show, and Miz.
Yeah, see, that one I felt like was really easy to call. Everybody was already saying, LOL, Cena wins. Here, I feel a lot more difficulty, a lot more unpredictability, and I love it, though. I love struggling, and I just hope that the struggle ceases for when you and I get ready to really go in-depth with this pay-per-view, tomorrow night for preview and predictions. That said, Rollins' chances, I think, are looking superb. Orton, not so much in his ladder match, but we'll see what happens.
See, dude, and the beautiful thing about us basically documenting our opinions and reactions to pay-per-views every month is that we can go back and kind of see what we were thinking going into Money in the Bank 2013 if we want to.
Exactly, dude. Exactly. So
Like, we can go back and we can see, oh, there it was, right there. That's the soundbite. John said this is the most difficult to call Money in the Bank match ever. Like,
right, precisely.
or on the other hand, we could go back to 2013 and we could be like, well, it's pretty obvious that Orton's winning this match, so we don't even really need to talk about it. You have anything left to say? And then you say no, and then I'm like, all right, let's move on. I mean, I love it. Like, our WWE pay-per-view watching history is on YouTube.
Yeah, it is. I mean, yeah, pretty much all on your channel, Eon Izzle. So everybody check that out.
Wow, completely unnecessary shilling for the win. Way to go,
Yeah!
Junior. So up next we had one of the great things that I was actually referring to earlier on when I said that there were some great things that happened tonight. Bad News Barrett versus Dean freaking Ambrose. And dude, I popped so hard for the finish of this match. It's not even fair.
I need to choose my words very carefully so I don't let something slip out, and I think you know what I'm referring to because I told you the same thing in personal conversation that I'm not wanting to slip. But Dean Ambrose is on a freaking roll right now to me.
Yep.
Between crowd reaction, the matches, everything. I think he has a great theme. Love his theme music. The only thing
Dude, his theme is over with me. Like, I don't mean that as in like a marky way, like, oh, I love his theme, I have it on my iPod, I listen to it all the time. No, I mean like when it hits, my head shoots up and I'm like, oh, it's Dean Ambrose. And I don't even realize it. I don't even think about it. It just kind of happens. It's like the frickin', like I said, it's like the frickin' glass shatter or like the Punk Static. It's just like that instant guttural reaction is like, oh man, something's about to happen.
I'm really glad, dude, they have somebody that evokes that kind of reaction with you, because that was the same way with me and the guitar riff with Morrison. Every time I'd hear that, I'm like, oh, it's about to go down. And, Ambrose, yeah, he definitely evokes that same feeling within a lot of people. I'd say the only thing I'm not entirely sold on yet, but that's more on me than on Ambrose, certainly, is the attire.
I knew it!
But you know what? I will say this, though. Let me just say this. It makes him stand out from his peers.
Absolutely.
And that's important. I don't think because if he would go the tights route, virtually everybody does that. And, doing this, the jeans and everything else makes him stand out. It gives him his own unique identity, something that Jim Ross pointed out Roman Reigns seems to have a little bit more difficulty doing. So, good on Dean. And as far as this match is concerned, I loved it. I think both guys are at the top of their game right now. Ambrose's offense just always gets me sucked in. Barrett, I think, whatever he used to do with his offense, I think he stopped doing, because I just find his offense to be a lot more fun than it used to be. I thought this was a solid contest.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there was actually a comic. I want to say it was a Botched Spot comic. That was a plug, because I freaking love the Botched Spot guys. But it was like Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins divvying up the Shield stuff, and one of them was like, man, I can't believe you broke up the Shield, man. Now we got to figure out who's taking what. And Rollins was just like, I'm going to keep all of my moves. And then Roman Reigns was just like, fine, well, I'm keeping the attire. And then Rollins was just like, yeah, well, I'm going to get all the mic time now. And then Reigns was just like, well, fine, then I'm keeping the theme music. And then Ambrose walks in and he's just like, hey, did you guys start without me? And they already separated everything, and Ambrose didn't get any of it because he doesn't look or sound or act anything like a Shield member anymore. He is completely his own person now, and I love it.
Precisely. Even Rollins, who I'm really enjoying right now in this heel role, he still has vague little bits of the Shield identity, with his attire, at least that he comes out with and stuff, and all that stuff. Roman Reigns, I think, is still completely immersed in it, which, as much as I love him, I certainly do agree to an extent with JR that he needs to break away from that eventually. Otherwise, people are always going to associate him with the Shield, and I think that's a negative because they're no longer a thing. Dean, he got it instantly. Like the week after the split up, he comes out in the jacket, crazed face, all that stuff, and people were going nuts. This is the Dean Ambrose we've been waiting to see, you and I think a lot of his fans have been waiting to see, and it hasn't been disappointing in the slightest. What's even greater news here for Dean Ambrose fans, he picks up the win here.
Yes!
And not only that, I mean, Ashton, maybe you disagree with me, not only does he pick up the win, he picks it up decisively.
Yes!
Yes, because he hits the what I call the rope rebound lariat. And, he's making some faces to the crowd, I guess just like signaling for the finish. And with ease, he connects with Dirty Deeds, which is one finisher name that I actually like compared to the other Shield names that they got for their finishers at the time. And yeah, he pins the Intercontinental Champion.
Yep.
Awesome.
Yeah. Oh, I found the comic, by the way. So it's in the arena basement. Reigns is just like, good, you showed. Let's just split up our things quick and get this breakup over with. And then Rollins is just like, good, I'm meeting Paul soon anyway. You know, Triple H, the guy I left you for. And Reigns is just like, if you're going to be cruel, then I'm taking the theme music. Rollins goes, well, I'm taking credit for starting the Shield. And Reigns goes, well, I'm taking the entrance and the vests. And then Rollins goes, you can't have everything. I'll get my own vest. Fine. You already took my ability to trust other men. Ugh, I am so done with this place. And then Ambrose walks in. Hey, guys, sorry I'm late. You didn't start without me, did you? Guys,
That's terrific.
Did you leave anything for me, guys?
Oh, that's terrific, dude.
It's so good. I love Botched Spot. Yeah, like I said before, definite plug. Check those guys out. They're awesome. It's just botchedspot.com. No, I'm not getting paid for this, even though I wouldn't mind. But anyway, yeah, Dean Ambrose with the clean victory over Bad News Barrett, which to me was a huge upset because to me, I thought that Bad News Barrett was the favorite to win Money in the Bank going into it. Now, obviously, we didn't know at this point, unless you follow dirt sheets and stuff, that Barrett was not going to be able to make it to Money in the Bank. But as of right here, at this point, I was under the impression that he was the favorite to win the thing, and now he gets pinned clean by Ambrose. It's like, what?
Yeah, when you watch the SmackDown footage of Swagger's assault, you could see the exact moment that he potentially ruined a great moment for Bad News Barrett.
Yeah.
And you could also witness the exact moment that I really began to hate Jack Swagger. No, you know what?
For me, the exact moment I really began to hate Jack Swagger was when he kicked Dolph Ziggler in the head and ended his title reign.
That too. I mean, that really started it, but I'm like, you know what? Accidents happen. It sucks that it had to happen to Dolph, but
see, and to me, that was less of an accident than this. This was very, like, you can't really say that this was Swagger's fault. This was part on him for getting ready to throw Barrett so close to the barricade, and it was part on Barrett for running so hard into the barricade. It was a little bit on both of them.
Right. I will say, though, on a very personal note, this does suck for Bad News Barrett, because, again, I've been saying for weeks, I think this is the gimmick. I don't think he has ever been better. I think that's reflected in his work. I don't think his work has ever been better. He's on a freaking roll right now. And to have this happen, it sucks when anybody gets injured, but I especially feel for the guys who had such momentum before their injury. That's why my heart broke for Bryan when he had to vacate the titles, because he just completed his WrestleMania arc. We were getting ready for his big title reign, and then, just up in smoke. It's funny we're talking about Barrett now because I just went on NoDQ very quickly and they had an article up. It says WWE made no announcement on Bad News Barrett's status for Money in the Bank on tonight's SmackDown. We know that Barrett had x-rays the day after he suffered a shoulder injury at Tuesday's tapings and then returned home. No word yet if he will be in action on Sunday.
Yeah.
So we can't officially write him out, but I'm not too optimistic about his status at this point in time.
To me, it comes down to three things. Either, first of all, he's not going to be able to participate. Second of all, he's going to quote-unquote participate by showing up and then ducking in a corner for 30 minutes and then maybe deciding to walk up the ladder and win the match if he was booked to do that in the first place. Or third of all, he doesn't show up until everybody else is down and around the outside, at which point his music hits, he comes down, walks up the ladder, and gets the briefcase. Regardless, I don't know.
It's difficult to call, man. It's difficult to call. And again, I want to stay pretty mum about it because that'll all be content for our preview and predictions. But I just really feel for Barrett here. And once he was disposed of, Ambrose kind of made the save for Barrett, thank goodness, so he could just recuperate and do his thing. He dives out to Swagger, hits him in the stomach with a ladder. Seems like he's going to do more damage, but then Swagger comes back, but then Ambrose comes back again, so they're having a little scuffle. And then in the end, who picks the bones but the architect Seth Rollins? He takes Ambrose out by shoving his skull into the steps. Then he brings him back into the ring and he's shouting, "You're not going to ruin this for me! You're not going to ruin this for me!" And I fully expected Ambrose to just shoot right back, with the double leg takedown and start punching Rollins. But no, Rollins successfully executes the curb stomp here. And he just looks in Ambrose's face and he's like, "I make my own destiny. I make my own opportunities." And he looks to the crowd and he raises his arms in celebration. I'm loving this story between these two. I think it's got a lot of mileage, even beyond Money in the Bank. I want to see these guys keep going. It's been a long time since I've been invested in a rivalry as personal as this. I'd say the last time I got this invested would honestly be Shawn Michaels Triple H. So
Yep.
I'm really excited for this.
You know what I just realized?
What's that?
Oh crap! I almost did it again. I almost gave away another prediction. Dang it, man! Can we record predictions as soon as Smackdown TWitWoW's over?
Yeah, I mean, hell, if you were up for it, I'm up for it because I feel like my tongue's on fire too, just wanting to get it all out.
Yeah. All
But
right.
yeah.
So yeah, after the Rollins Ambrose beatdown, Rollins, what did you say he did? You said he just kind of raised his hands and said that he creates his own destiny, that kind of stuff. So yeah. Up next, we had Cameron versus Paige. Luckily, this was a relatively quick match, and you know what? I'm cool with it because Naomi was on commentary, and literally everything about commentary was better.
Oh yeah, Naomi is a fantastic individual. I really like her on a personal level, at least the side of her that we've seen on forums like Total Divas and the like. She seems like a very likable human being, and I'm very excited for her getting another crack at the Divas Championship, one-on-one at Money in the Bank against Paige. That could really be a phenomenal women's match if given the proper respect on all sides.
Yep.
So we'll see.
I'm telling you, man. Cameron's going to cost Naomi the match. We're going to get Naomi at Battleground, and then Naomi's going to get her one-on-one clean shot against Paige at SummerSlam, at which point, honestly, I think they'll probably give the title to Naomi.
Really?
Well, they were planning on giving the title to her at frickin' WrestleMania already, but then she ended up, or not WrestleMania, earlier this year, I don't remember the exact pay-per-view, but she ended up getting the eye thing, and she couldn't do it.
Oksana, even though she's gone, I still haven't forgiven her. Yeah, I think the most shocking thing about this match between Cameron and Paige was that Cameron actually pulled out a code breaker at one point. It only used to Paige's face, and I'm like, what? Cameron actually doing a wrestling maneuver?
Well, I mean, she had the head scissors, too.
Yeah, that's true. That also kind of took me by surprise. But in the end, what took Cameron by surprise was getting hit out of nowhere with the Page Turner for the 3 count.
Yep.
And then, after the match, Naomi comes to have a stare down with Paige. Seems like it's going to be just another mutual respect thing. But then Cameron, slaps Paige, gets in another altercation with her. They start to have their skirmish, and then Naomi gets in between them trying to mediate. And then Cameron, being an engineer, that evil mind, turning heel, pushes Naomi into Paige and watches her work unfold. So, yes, definitely some conflicting interests here going into Money in the Bank this Sunday.
Yeah, no real surprise here. You know my prediction already, so there's your frickin' free preview, people. Up next, we had Bray Wyatt one-on-one with Sheamus, but the good news to me about this is that it ended in a DQ, so we didn't have a clean winner.
Interesting that you took that route, because my sentiments going into this was I was going to say, it sucks that we had another DQ with Wyatt family interference, but the beauty of it is, and why I'm so excited for Bray to be in this match this Sunday, is that I really believe, because the Wyatt family already booked in a tag team championship match, that they will have no presence in this match. And even if they do, I could see it very easily being neutralized, so it once again all comes back to Bray.
Yep.
Because I think Bray is at his best when everything, his potential victory, his design, everything is entirely on his shoulders. So that's why I'm excited for this ladder match. As far as this match goes, I thought these two did great. I loved the back and forth. I loved how Bray continuously brought the fight to Sheamus, how there were points where he outsmarted him. Like there was one point where Sheamus was pursuing Bray on the outside, but Bray sweeped Sheamus's legs out from under him on the apron, causing damage to his back. Little maneuvers like that are just why I love Bray Wyatt so much. Sheamus's Irish hand grenades, as we prefer to call them here on TWitWoW, he did 12 of them instead of 10, which just shows me that he really views Bray as such a threat that he needs to give that a little bit extra.
He did 12 of them this past Friday, too.
Did he? Because
Yeah.
I always thought he did 10 and then just...
I mean, he normally does 10, but the last time or two that I've seen him do it, he did 12 for some reason.
Interesting. Okay, well, I stand corrected. No surprise there. But yeah, I got the vibe, because I didn't know he did it last week, but I was going to say it kind of came off to me that Sheamus views Bray as such a threat that he has to give that little bit extra if he has any chance of winning. So they had a nice back and forth in the end, Ashton, as you said. It did end in a DQ. Sheamus had the Irish Cloverleaf locked in on Bray Wyatt, and then the Wyatt family made the run in. Usos, of course, were at ringside with Sheamus, so you kind of had a intersecting of these two storylines. They disposed of the Wyatt family. Bray was able to avoid a bro kick, so great for him. And yeah, the babyfaces stand tall for the time being.
Yep. So, getting kind of sick of the Usos.
Really hoping for a title change on Sunday.
Yeah, no
Just
kidding.
putting that out there.
All right, so now up next was the second, in my opinion, of the earlier referred to as great things that happened on this SmackDown. Byron Saxton asks Goldust what he thinks about Ryback's challenge. Now, here's my thing. Do I love the Stardust character? I could leave it or take it. But do I freaking love what the Stardust character has allowed Goldust to become? You're freaking right, I do. It is amazing.
Now, I want you to expound upon that statement, because you originally told it to me when we started recording, and I couldn't quite grasp what you meant. I assumed you meant that it makes Goldust, I don't know, it kind of humanizes him a little bit, makes him look more normal, but I didn't know if that was your point. So, kindly elaborate.
It doesn't, though. It doesn't humanize Goldust at all. To me, what it does is Goldust finally has the opportunity to play the straight man. And I don't mean straight man as in like the normal guy. I mean the straight man as in like the guy that more people will be able to be like, yeah, he's kind of relatable than the other guy. Because for the longest time, like, Goldust has always been the freaking crazy psychopath. And he still is, but in this case, he is the crazy psychopath who is marking out for someone who's even crazier and more psychopathic at the same time.
It's funny because, you know, Cody Rhodes is, at the end of the day, both in real life and in the storyline, of course, you know, his brother, but the character Stardust is almost like his soulmate of sorts, you know, like that kindred spirit. As far as Stardust goes, you know, he talks about, you know, Ryback throwing down the challenge, saying, you know, they called us something hermaphrodites. Do you remember the exact quote, Ashton?
But, painted hermaphrodites.
Yeah, painted hermaphrodites. And then he pretty much asks, you know, do you know what the brightest star in the galaxy is? And he pretty much goes on to say, you know, it's the sun, and pretty much making all of these allusions to the fact that his name is Stardust. And you know what? Whether you love every character, every transition that Cody Rhodes has ever had or not, you cannot deny that he has what I call that Leo Kruger quality, in that he puts his back into every character that he's been given. Because if he didn't, I don't know if I'd be as receptive of this as I have been, because I freaking love Stardust. I really do.
That's good. I'm glad you love. I mean, like I said, as far as Stardust goes, I mean, it's not bad by any means, but it's not my favorite at all. But to me, what makes Stardust great is the fact that we get moments like Goldust saying, "He's awesome!" about Stardust. Like, that just cracks me up for some reason. I don't know.
I've always been entertained by Goldust, especially when I was a kid and he was in the tag team with Booker T.
Dude, to me, I don't think I've ever found, and this is just because of how old I was at the time and just my sense of humor at the time, but I don't think I've ever found Goldust more entertaining than when he had Tourette's.
You know what? Yeah, that was pretty entertaining. But to me,
I think my favorite Goldust moment of all time is when he walked up to Eric Bischoff and he said, "Hello there, Mr. Bischoff."
That was great. One of my personal favorite moments, because I was talking about Book Dust, was you know, when they're backstage with The Rock. And The Rock just doesn't even know, like, how to take all. He thinks, like, something seriously wrong with him. And he's like, well, The Rock meant what he said. If people don't like this company, they can get the F out. Because this was when the WWE, you know, logo was still brand new.
When they were going from F to E, yeah.
And then Goldust was like, ooh, I, too, am so down with it. And Rock's like, oh, you, too, so down with it. Man, what's wrong with you? Stop rubbing yourself. It's just friggin' hilarious. So to see him come back, and to be this guy that marvels at somebody even crazier than he is in Stardust is really just a breath of fresh air. I've continued to love the work of these two.
Dude, it's crazy. Goldust was so irrelevant for so long, and now we can't stop singing his praises.
We really can't, because you know what? When you're 44, maybe he's even 45 now, so much time has passed, and you're still performing at this level where you are genuinely entertaining, because me and Ashton, we don't feed anybody any bones. Ever. We're always going to give you the the honest truth. Even if it's somebody we love and we don't want to do it, that's what we always aim to do. But Goldust has consistently delivered on every level. And honestly, whether it's a split up between these two or a tag team championship match at SummerSlam, if this thing really gets over, either way, these guys are going to do great. And that's where I come out the winner as a fan. So, good stuff.
Absolutely. So up next we had, in my opinion, now I don't know if anyone else is going to agree with me, but in my opinion, the most boring match of the night. Dolph Ziggler and RVD versus Del Rio and Cesaro. And the irony here is that 2 of these 4 guys are guys that I absolutely love, and 3 of these 4 guys are actually exciting people, so it just seems weird that this, in my opinion, was the most boring match of the night. John, what do you think?
It's interesting because I enjoyed this match, but here again was another match that I feel like the main star was commentary.
Yeah, Heyman, he killed it.
And you know what, dude, like, it's weird for me because at times, Ashton, like, we will be fans of guys and we'll say things that maybe normally would stand to be scrutinized for hypocrisy, because I always say, commentary should never take away from the match. Commentary should never be the show. So, on the one hand, I stand by that, but on the other hand, I'd be lying to everybody if I said I did not enjoy Heyman doing what he did during this segment. So it really leaves me conflicted, because I thought these guys did put on a good match. I mean, certainly no clinic, certainly no match of the year candidate, but a good, entertaining match considering it was Smackdown. But at the same time, I found Heyman to be more entertaining in the grand scheme of things, as well as the post-match proceedings. So, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I can't disagree with you. Heyman, you know what? One thing that I did notice about Heyman on commentary, it reminded me an awful lot of Tyler Breeze on commentary. It almost makes you wonder if maybe Heyman sees a little something in Breeze and has been giving him pointers behind the scenes.
Perhaps. I mean, I personally, the best part of Heyman on commentary was when he was really just like getting all nervous and excitable and like really giving it a call. Like, you're a hack journalist, not a whack. He said, you're a hack journalist, and you just keep attacking me when my client is dominating in the ring and you're not even giving him his proper respect. Like, it reminded me of his days when he was a commentator on behalf of the Alliance.
Yep.
Because even though the only tape I own from that era is the Survivor Series, where that all came to a head, his commentary throughout the entire show was just fantastic, and it was very reminiscent of that here tonight on SmackDown. The finish I thought was pretty clever. RVD misses the frog splash, but rather than dragging it out anymore, Del Rio finds a way to make a transition into a cross-arm breaker, which I thought was cool. And then, of course, for me personally, and speaking solely as a Cesaro mark, and I make no bones about that, the post-match is probably my favorite part of the whole thing, because Del Rio made the mistake of getting in Cesaro's face, and Cesaro responded by neutralizing the threat. So.
Absolutely. So, anything else to say about this?
Absolutely not.
All right. Up next, Renee Young with the Usos for their thoughts on their tag title defense against the Wyatt family. Talk about fighting back, and Jay says the early bird gets the worm, and Jimmy asks what he means, and Jay kind of tries to save it and says they aren't on a bird or a plane. They're the Usos flying high and still tag champs. And again, so tired of the Usos. I'm ready for a new tag champs.
I am too. I read an interview with them recently where they said how, John Cena's been a tremendous influence with them, and just said, hey guys, be yourselves, and they are excited they've got all this extra talking time, and that's great. As professionals working for a living, I'm happy for them that they've got this time, but me as a consumer, I'm ready for a change. It's nothing against the Usos, but I think I've given them enough time to safely conclude they make better chasers than champions.
Absolutely, which is, I mean, that's not a bad thing. It's not like you're dissing them or anything. That's a pretty typical, decent babyface attribute to have.
No, because I don't want to be that guy to the Usos. You know what I mean? Like, because I do like their work. I just feel like their work is so much more appreciated when it's in a different role. Because here it really does seem, as we say so often with a lot of the top babyfaces or seemingly top babyfaces in their respective divisions, overpowered. And to me, you and I have been big fans of the Wyatt family for so long, and I see them holding those tag titles, and I pop every single time, and I just want it to become reality at Money in the Bank. They were former NXT Tag Team Champions. It's time to get the gold. I'm tired of waiting. Here's to hoping it happens.
Yep, exactly. Definitely going to be pulling for. That doesn't mean I'm predicting, but I'm definitely going to be pulling for the Wyatt family to win on Sunday. So up next, we had our main event of the evening: Roman Reigns one-on-one with Demon Kane. I freaking hate that they call him that now. It's just Kane. Stop calling him a demon, for God's sakes.
Yeah, I don't care for that either. I think it makes all of the awesomeness of Kane seem very hokey.
Yep.
Man, I miss 2002, 2003 Kane so much. I
Dude,
still
you
say
don't even need to go back that far. Kane was pretty awesome in 2010.
That is true. I mean, his promo work, I don't think anybody could have touched it that year for my money. So good.
Yeah, pretty much.
So, what do you think of this match?
I mean, yeah, the in-ring work tonight was great. We were talking about ring work or promo work, but the ring work tonight was really, really good. Reigns, as usual, ends up coming out looking extremely dominant, but they at least tried to kind of throw obstacles in his way because of Orton.
Yeah, Orton did hang Reigns up on the ropes, which caused disqualification, and then, Roman Reigns, he retaliates with a Superman punch, but then Kane catches Reigns in a choke slam, and then, Kane goes out to the ring, he gets a ladder, he sets it up, and then we have kind of a weird pause, and he looks to Orton looks back to Kane, so they're kind of exchanging glances, trying to read each other's thoughts, and we see that Kane has pretty much given Orton the okay to ascend the ladder and retrieve the championships. And so Orton begins to do so. It's a very slow ascent to the top. About midway through, Kane's holding on to the ladders, faking that he was going to push it. And I think even Orton worried because he shot a glance, to Kane. But then when he saw nothing was going to happen, that Kane was just surveying the situation, he continued his ascent, got to the top, retrieved the championships, began celebrating with them. But that celebration may have been a bit excessive, Ashton.
Well, I mean, what else do you expect at this point, John?
I don't know, man. I don't know. Maybe the heels to come out on top before the pay-per-view so I can actually rally behind the baby faces. That said, however, again, I'd be lying if I did not say that I enjoyed these last 2 minutes, because Reigns comes back with a spear after Orton, the gears were turning in his head. He was going to go for a punt, take Reigns out completely. He ran right into a spear from Reigns, which I popped for. Then he took Kane out the same way. And then, because I don't know, I've always been a sucker for when babyfaces do this, reaches over and hoists up both championships above his head. I don't know if the pop was canned, because I'm still kind of debating that with myself, but it was huge. Gargantuan when he held up those championships. I gotta be careful with my wording here, but personally, I thought it was epic. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Does that reflect at all on what I'm thinking about for Money in the Bank? Absolutely not. Does it change the fact that I thought it was an excellent piece of television? Certainly not. So there it is.
Yeah, this was an awesome moment for Reigns, and I gotta say, dude, it looked kind of weird seeing him hold up those titles.
It did. It did. Especially when you recognize what championships those are. We're talking about the world title. And seeing Reigns hold it, more importantly, seeing Reigns hold it while still in Shield garb and everything.
Yeah.
I think it was what really sent the jolt through me. Had Reigns, and this isn't a criticism of Reigns, just an observation, had Reigns changed his identity, a la Ambrose, maybe I would have felt better about it, but just seeing him in the Shield garb and everything and the music, I'm like, oh man, Shield's taking over, but they're not. It's crazy.
Bittersweet, right?
Yeah, definitely.
All right, dude. Well, that was the end of SmackDown, so hey, if you want to get into our next segment, I'm ready and you are.
High spots and low shots.
R.I.P. headphone users.
Yeah. But my low shot, I think I'm going to say RVD.
All right. Yeah, understand.
He had a very competent and game partner in Dolph Ziggler. Both guys were looking to create momentum for their respective ladder matches this Sunday at Money in the Bank, but their opposition proved to be too strong. And, the thing was, RVD lost by submission, which I always feel like is more degrading than being pinned, because you're willfully saying this man on this night was better than me. And so, yeah, not a good night for Mr. Friday Night, to be sure.
My low shot is going to be a low shot for legitimate reasons, but on top of that, it's going to be a low shot hypothetically or metaphorically or whatever you want to call it, figuratively, because it's also going to be like a shot to the gut. My low shot is Bad News Barrett, because he lost clean, and he got injured. Dang it.
Yeah, that is that's really disappointing. I've been a fan of Barrett's for a long time, and I'll admit that, there came a point where I kind of jumped the ship, not necessarily in stopping being a fan of his, but stopping hope that he'd ever get anywhere. Then he revives it with this gimmick, and he's on a freaking roll. He's got legitimate momentum. And then swagger syndrome.
Frickin' swagger, man. Frickin' swagger.
Not cool, Swags. Not cool. You will pay dearly for this.
Never cool, Swags. Never cool.
Yeah, he is not winning this Sunday. I can guarantee you that. Hopefully, I would love.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, really. I would love if Bad News Barrett made certain of that, but I don't even think he'll be anywhere near Money in the Bank, unfortunately. But hey, there's not an official prognosis out yet, so we'll see what happens. But I certainly agree this was a bad night for him. Even shoulder injury aside, he did lose to Dean Ambrose in a non-title match. So even if Dean would come up short this Sunday, which I cannot wait to talk about that, you would have to imagine that he'd be in line as the next number one contender for the IC Championship, and that poses a huge threat to Barrett.
Yep, absolutely. All right, dude. What's your high spot?
My high spot, let me think. You know what? I'm going to say my high spot is Roman Reigns.
There you go. Good call.
You know what? Takes Orton out, takes Kane out when they had intentions of taking him out, and he closes the show holding those championships up. Like, holy crap. Can you think of a better way? Can you think of a better punctuation for your night than making that proclamation to the world? This is going to be the sight that fades to black at Money in the Bank this Sunday. I certainly can't.
And you know what? Just to stay consistent, because really the only valid high spot tonight I feel like really was Roman Reigns, I'm going to say that my high spot, just from a homer standpoint, is Dean Ambrose, because he beat the IC champion clean. So like you said, even if he doesn't win at Money in the Bank, he's got a backup plan. Who else can you say that about?
Nobody at the moment.
Exactly.
Absolutely nobody. Dean Ambrose, I think, is just another guy that he's been on fire lately, and it feels so good to say that about so many talents. Dean's really come into his own in the breakup. I think a lot of people worried about Dean, with the breakup, and I'll be honest, I had some of my reservations myself simply because of how they seemed to relegate him, within the group itself. But he is just shot to the top. I mean, he beat the Intercontinental Champion, and he's staring at a Money in the Bank ladder match this Sunday, which he has just as good a chance as winning as anybody else. Yep. So, go Dean.
Absolutely, dude. All right. You know what's next, right?
Absolutely. 30-second hot seat.
Well, since we can't do any prediction-based 30-second hot seats, I'm going to kind of throw it back to what our 30-second hot seat was this past week. Because this past week, I asked you what show and what match you were looking most forward to between ROH Best in the World and WWE Money in the Bank. So, since we haven't actually seen Money in the Bank yet, I'm going to do this. We have watched 2 different pay-per-views over the course of the last 12 days. TNA, I believe it was Slammiversary, and ROH Best in the World. So what I'm going to say is, which of those shows did you enjoy more, and which of those, out of those 2 shows, was your favorite match? You have 30 seconds, and let's see here. Your time starts now.
Definitely ROH Best in the World by a mile. I'd say my favorite match on that show would be the Briscoe brothers versus the Icon Matt Hardy and Mike Bennett. A lot of crazy spots, great weapons used in the latter half of the match. I enjoyed the story told, and I think Mike Bennett needs to be signed to a WWE contract as soon as yesterday. So
I know, right? Him and Ciampa both.
Definitely. It really, WWE is on this whole youth kick. I don't know how old Mike Bennett is. He still looks fairly young.
27, I believe.
27. Get it. Get that contract, putting to it, and just get it done. And you know what? I don't know.
Oh, he's
I don't
29. 29.
29, still not bad. No, still not bad. I'd still go for it. And let me tell you something else. Even though I know there's no way in hell of this happening, I would do everything in my power to bring Maria along for the ride with him and just keep everything that they've done, just change the atmosphere.
I know, right? Like, frickin' Bella Twins ruin everything.
you know? I don't know whether that's true or not. I don't know if you ever heard anything that I didn't, so I'm not going to comment on that aspect.
Well, Maria did an AMA on Reddit, and she pretty much revealed that, yeah, they pretty much screwed her out of a job.
Right, but then again, it's weird because I've also heard from Cornette that Maria didn't want to do anything when she originally came, like she didn't want to learn how to wrestle or this and that. I guess maybe she just feels comfortable in that valet role and she's terrific at it. So, nothing against her. But, I feel like they need to bring them in together for me because they just work so well together.
Yep.
And if they are a package deal, I could easily see Bennett.
You know what though, dude? That's the thing. If the WWE has some kind of a grudge against Maria, there's a very solid chance that they'll do to Bennett what they already did to John Morrison and Drew McIntyre and basically screw him over because of who they're married to. Or with, I guess I should say. I don't know who's married to who or whatever, but who they're with, who their girlfriend is.
Yeah, what a sad, sad state of affairs that is. But,
right?
Yeah, with that said, I would love to see Mike Bennett in WWE one day. Ciampa as well, certainly. And you know what? Maybe some other guys too, but I'm not really going to go through all that here. With that said, Ashton, do you have any concluding remarks about this SmackDown?
It was a fun episode of SmackDown, but at the end of the day, I am so... And it's because of SmackDown, so that's even more of a credit to SmackDown. But, man, I am looking forward to doing preview and predictions. This is going to be a fun one.
Absolutely. I'm chomping at the bit to do it, man. I'm so excited. So, with that said, this has been SmackDown. This has been TWitWoW, the best wrestling podcast made for wrestling fans, by wrestling fans, on the web today. I'm John. That's my cohort and commentary, Ashton. Guys, be sure to comment and subscribe on YouTube, discuss on Tweet Off, and we will see you again, both for our preview and predictions, which you can watch on Eon Izzle, Ashton's YouTube channel, and, what I can't wait for most, Money in the Bank 2014 live reactions. Who will ascend the ladder to glory? Who will prevail in the final hour? We'll see you then, guys.